Hello friends. This is the Ani Fanfics. How are you all? So we are back with an amazing movie on What If Naruto Was the No-Life King? Naruto Power of Dracula. Here's a summary. Naruto appears on the grounds of the Hellsing organization with a hole in his chest. To save his life, and to appease Alucard's curiosity, Ceres turns Naruto into a vampire. Now the world will have to watch out for a vampire who has lost his memories and has decided to model himself after the only other male vampire he knows, Alucard. Super strong Naruto, harem, black magic Naruto. But before we begin, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin. Master, I am moving in on the target, spoke the voice of Ceres Victoria. Ceres is a young woman with short, blonde-colored hair and blue eyes, which turn red when she becomes enraged, although she herself was unaware of this. She has a voluptuous figure, further accentuated by her being shorter than most of her allies. Although she's physically short, her breast well endowed. She usually wears a tight yellow Hellsing uniform with a short skirt, long white stockings, and tall brown boots. Her master had ordered her to investigate a disturbance that he had sensed inside of the Hellsing grounds. She figured he was just being lazy and had sent her to investigate the disturbance so that he could sit on his throne in his little underground lair. He is so lazy sometimes, thought Ceres as she continued to run towards the disturbance. You know, I can still hear you, police girl, spoke an ominous voice in her head that held a deep tone. The tone was one that only a being as old as her master could have, and the underlining threat, even when he was not threatening someone, was only capable by beings that had lived a life as long and as cruel as his own. Oh, sorry master, I will find the disturbance as soon as possible, thought Ceres as she continued to run towards the disturbance. It took her 10 minutes to locate the disturbance and another 5 minutes to get to it. What she found was not what she had been expecting. Sitting in a large crater was a boy, about 12 or 13 years old. He had long blonde hair that framed his face very nicely, and gave him a wild look thanks to how shaggy it was. He was muscular, no doubt, but the muscle was more for a runner or swimmer than someone who went to the gym trying to get those results. The two things that struck Ceres the most was, for one, there was a large hole in the boy's chest where his heart used to be, and he was completely naked, and if Ceres was being completely honest with herself, had to admit he was very well endowed down there. It looks like you found something very interesting, police girl, spoke that same ominous voice that was inside of her head, but now she could actually hear it with her ears. She looked back and saw her master, the immortal vampire Alucard, aka Count Dracula. As commonly seen among vampires, Alucard's appearance bears and shows no visible signs of aging. His eyes are blood red, and they glow a brighter hue of red when his glasses are off. His hair changes lengths according to his release states from short to knee length. His usual outfit is comprised mainly in a classic Victorian fashion, including a charcoal suit, leather riding boots, and a flamboyant, intricately knotted red cravat, covered by a full-length, red frock overcoat, with a cape. He also wears a red fedora hat with a wide, floppy brim and a pair of circular, heavily tinted, wire-framed orange sunglasses with goggle sidings. Alucard's gloves have 5 pointed seals on them which limit the personal use of his powers. What should we do, master? Asked Victoria as she looked up at her master. She was surprised to see the thoughtful look on his face, and momentarily wondered what he could be thinking about. It was not his style after all to care if someone was dying or not, as he was usually the one causing the death. He interests me. There is something about him that is just telling me that he will make this night perfect, spoke Alucard, but his tone almost turned to an animalistic purr, but this purr was coming from an interested predator that wanted to play with its food for a while longer. Ceres just gulped and looked her master in those deathly eyes, and wondered what he wanted her to do. Well, why have you not turned him yet? He is dying very quickly from blood loss, and I am amazed he has not bled to death by now, with him missing his heart and all, spoke Alucard as he looked Ceres in the eyes. You want me to turn him? Asked Ceres in a shocked voice. She had never even tasted blood before, and now her master was ordering her to turn another living human, although not for long if left alone, into a monster like them. Yes, or would you prefer he died out here? Spoke Alucard, but his tone told her it was not a question. His tone told her she would see a side of him that she could only pray she never saw if she didn't do as he said, and soon. Ceres nodded her head, and looked down at the dying boy. She slowly lifted him up, and moved his hair away from his neck. She was nervous, which was to be expected, and slowly lowered her head down until her fangs sunk into his neck. She could not explain how much her body loved the feeling of fresh blood coursing through her body for the first time. It was like ecstasy, but she controlled herself, although it took all of her willpower. When she pulled away, she watched in amazement as the wound in his chest area started to close up instantly. "Did he make it?" asked Ceres as she looked down at her first and only fledgling. She was shocked when some of his physical features began to change. First his hair turned snow white, his skin turned slightly paler, and the whisker markings on his face turned more into black triangular lines on his face, just like Tobirama's markings. "It looks like the change is complete," spoke Alucard as he smiled down on his fledgling and her first ever fledgling. He was sure that whatever happened, that this boy would be very interesting. "Master, what happened to him? Why did his hair and some of his other features change?" asked Ceres as she picked up her new charge. He was surprisingly light for a guy with as much muscle mass as he had. Some people take to the change differently than others. Some come out looking like bat-human hybrids when things really turn south. "I am not sure what causes the change, but it was very interesting, so who am I to complain?" spoke Alucard as he gave Ceres his famous vampire smirk. Ceres just sighed, but then she saw Walter coming, and straightened up immediately. Walter is a skinny older man who wears standard butler attire with white gloves and has black hair worn in a ponytail. His eyes are gray, he wears a monocle over his left eye, and occasionally wears black gloves in combat. "You really are on a roll this month, aren't you, Alucard? Not only did you turn Ceres, now you have her turning others. You aren't planning on creating your own little vampire army now, are you, Alucard?" spoke Walter in a joking voice, which caused Alucard to grin from ear to ear. "Ha, as if. I am not one of those fucking Nazis who were trying to do the same during World War II. When I saw him I just knew he would be interesting, so I had Ceres here turn him. I can't wait to see what type of person he is when he wakes up," spoke Alucard as he looked up at the red moon. It was very soothing to him, and it also had the bonus effect of making him even stronger. "You know Sir Integra is going to shout at you all night for having your fledgling turn another person into a vampire, right? I wouldn't doubt her even ordering you to exterminate him on the spot as soon as she found out," spoke Walter as he shrugged his shoulders in an "I don't care" type of way. "I have ways of dealing with Sir Integra, don't you worry about that. It will take some persuading, but I am sure I can make her see things my way, and who knows, maybe the boy will become a valuable asset to the Helsing organization," spoke Alucard as he looked from Walter to the newest vampire and then to his own fledgling, the police girl. "Ceres, take our newest guest and place him in a coffin, and then place him in one of the underground rooms. You are to stay with him until he wakes up, is that clear?" spoke Alucard as he looked at Ceres with those blood-red eyes.
"Yes, master," shouted Ceres as she picked up the newest vampire and ran off towards the Helsing estate. Alucard always got a laugh at how fast she could move when she was trying to get away from him.
"You know what to do, Walter," spoke Alucard as he looked back over at the Helsing butler. The butler just smirked a smirk that only a trained killer could make. "Yes, Alucard, I will start to make his weapons immediately," spoke Walter as he began walking towards the Helsing manor in a casual stroll. Alucard was curious about the weapons bit, but decided the best surprise is the surprise that you wait for to surprise you. When Alucard got back to the manor, he was not surprised to see his master standing in her office with a pissed-off look in her face. Her aggravation only increased when she noticed that he had entered her office without giving her prior knowledge and was just watching her.
"I have come to your call, my master," spoke Alucard, but if you listened closely you would have heard the mocking tone in his voice. Thankfully she did not hear it, or else everyone in the entire manor would have heard her yelling at him. "Why is there another vampire in my house?" shouted Integra as she looked at Alucard with a look that could have killed some, but luckily Alucard was not someone you could just kill like that, and to the shock of no one he just grinned at her anger.
"I thought he would be interesting, so I had the police girl change him. Besides, we needed to find out how he got inside of the grounds without anyone knowing, and we couldn't do that if he was dead," spoke Alucard as he smirked at his master's irritated-looking face. "If he sets even 1 foot out of line he will be terminated," spoke Integra with dead practically radiating off of her in waves so thick that it even surprised Alucard. Of course my master, spoke Alucard as he phased out of the room. The next day, UHGGG, where am I? Asked Naruto as he looked around the room. It was basically a bare square room completely covered with thick black stones. He was surprised that he was lying in a coffin, but not overly so. For some reason he could not remember who he was, besides his name. Looks like you are finally awake, spoke a deep voice coming from the left side of his bed. He was surprised to see a man that had not previously been there standing there with a smirk on his face like he was waiting for something. Hello, whoever you are, do you know what happened to me? Asked Naruto as he looked into the glowing red eyes that oddly reminded him of something, but he couldn't place his finger on what it was. I am Alucard, a vampire, and a servant of the Helsing family. We found you on the grounds inside of the Helsing Manor, and we brought you here. We don't know what happened to you, but when we found you there was a giant hole where your heart used to be. If it was not for my fledgling, which is sleeping when she is supposed to be waiting for you to awaken, you would have died. Congratulations, you are now a vampire fledgling, spoke Alucard with a big grin on his face showing rows of razor-sharp teeth. He was surprised when Naruto didn't even bat an eyelash at the recent information that he had received. What is a vampire? Asked Naruto as he looked at the oddly dressed man with a look of confusion upon his face. He was wondering why he couldn't remember anything besides how to do certain things, his name, and other things that everyone knew.
How is it that you have never even heard of vampires before? Asked Alucard as he gave Naruto a long hard look as he tried to detect if Naruto was lying to him. He was surprised when he found no deceit in Naruto's words.
I don't know, I probably did know what a vampire was at one point, but now I only remember my name, and none of my past. I am Naruto, Naruto Uzumaki, and you are? Asked Naruto as he smiled at Alucard. His eyes were wine red now, instead of the previous sky blue, and they really made his white hair pop out. So you have lost your memories, how interesting. We will have to see if we cannot find a way to jog your memories, but until then welcome to the Helsing organization, spoke Alucard as he went to shake Naruto's hand. Naruto instantly grabbed it and shook back. What is the Helsing organization, and what will I be doing? Asked Naruto, but he was surprised when a tough-looking woman with a sizable bust walked in and started talking in a strict commanding tone. You will be hunting down and eliminating any and all freaks you come across. The Helsing organization has been eliminating these freaks for hundreds of years, and we have been keeping England safe from the supernatural ever since our founding, by putting our faith and efforts in the hands of our Lord, spoke the woman as she strolled in. She was looking at him with what he believed to be annoyance, but he just ignored it and asked the question that was forming in his mind. What about the freaks that are not doing anything wrong? Do you just go around killing things just because they are different than you? If so, then all you are is an organization of purists that are eradicating entire species just because they are different than you, spoke Naruto as he looked at the woman with hard eyes. Integra for her part was shocked at the question. It was true that she had never actually tried to talk to any of the freaks, so maybe it was possible that some of them were not hostile. It started to make her question herself, but she quickly shoved the thoughts forming in her head to the back of her mind so that she could focus on the task at hand. We eliminate the freaks that terrorize England and nothing more, nothing less. You will be initiated into the Helsing organization and trained to combat these monsters. I believe Walter is very interested in showing you what he has made for you, spoke Integra as she left the room in a hurry.
Well, you really are very interesting, spoke Alucard as he watched his master leave in a hurry. He saw Naruto about to say something, but then Walter walked in with Ceres, who was carrying a large case that was as tall as she was. Alucard also noticed that Walter was taking very good care of the case in his own hands.
Ah, so you are finally awake. I have made some very powerful weapons just for you, spoke Walter as he threw Naruto one of the suitcases. When Naruto gave him a confused look, Walter decided to elaborate. We didn't have any clothes for you here, so we had to have you some made. Put them on, and when you are done I will give you your new weapons, spoke Walter as he ushered everyone out of Naruto's room while he got dressed.
When they finally were allowed to go back in Naruto's room, they were shocked, except of Alucard obviously, at the sight before them. Naruto was wearing a long, blue and red coat with the Helsing insignia sewn into both shoulders.
He was also wearing a red zip-up hoodie vest underneath this coat, a navy muscle shirt beneath that, and a pair of dark blue pants. Naruto had on 2 rings on his left hand, one on his index finger that has the emblem of the Hellsing organization on its face, and another on his ring finger which has a rose design on its face, identical to the designs on his belt buckle, coat clasp, and coat buttons. He has white hair brushed down and wine-red eyes, similar to Alucard's eyes. "Wow, you look like a young master," spoke Ceres as she looked from Naruto to Alucard and then back again. She was very shocked at the similarities between them, and if she didn't know any better would have sworn that Naruto was related to Alucard in some way.
"Thanks, I guess," spoke Naruto as he rubbed the back of his head and gave a goofy smile. "Yes, you cleaned up very well. I am glad I decided to base your outfit on Alucard's.
Now that you are dressed, let's move on to your new weapons that I took the liberty of personally designing. The first is called Rebellion, which is a massive broadsword with a heavy double-edged blade, notched on both sides near the tip, and made from an adamantium and holy silver metal mix which should kill any freak you come across.
In its dormant form, the pommel is a single spike, but after awakening it splits open into several.
The grip is plain, but the guard is skeletal, with a skull design on each side leading to the rib cage from which the blade emerges. On one side of the blade, the skull is that of a human, while the other uses a horned demon's skull. Initially, the crosstree is folded in against the ribs, but when you unleash your vampiric powers they extend, spoke Walter as he watched as Ceres gave Naruto the case she had been luging around. When he opened it up, he was very shocked, and so was everyone else in the room.
My Walter, you have really outdone yourself," spoke Alucard as he looked down at the sword Naruto was holding like a paperweight. He still found it funny that the boy was not completely shocked at everything that was happening around him like others who are turned into vampires. "Well, I do aim to please," spoke Walter as he watched Naruto take a few practice swings. He could instantly tell that the boy had had swordsman training by the way he swung it, as could Alucard.
"Thanks, Walter, this sword is amazing," spoke Naruto as he placed the sword on his back where a small strap held it in place.
"You're welcome. Now on to the next weapon. Ebony and Ivory are both M1911 style handguns chambered for the .45 ACP round, and boast a plethora of customized features. Both pistols have been modified with pivot-style triggers as opposed to the 1911's usual straight-pull trigger. Both feature custom sight systems. Ebony uses a set of target sights, while Ivory uses a pair of combat sights. Both feature ported muzzle compensators that reduce recoil and counteract muzzle flip. Both barrels are extended through the compensators and are ported to match the cuts in the compensators. Both use custom slides that have been noticeably thickened and reinforced along the slide travel rails and around the chamber and firing mechanism. The result is a slide that bears a resemblance to Sig Sauer's M1911 line. Rails have been bolted to the forward portion of both frames. These rails are used to hold the compensators in place. Both use double-stack magazines with slam pads. Both have gold-plated magazine releases, hammers, safety switches and triggers. Ebony features a hooked, two-handed trigger guard, while Ivory uses a more traditional rounded trigger guard. Both weapons use ergonomic wood grips which are inlaid with portraits of Victorian women. As befits their names, Ebony's is dark-haired, and Ivory's is fair-haired. Ebony's ejection port is located on the left side of the weapon, as opposed to the right side. As Ebony is meant to be used left-handed, this causes spent brass to be ejected away from Naruto. And to top it all, of Ivory was made out of a holy silver and titanium mix, while Ebony was made out of a strange black metal that we extracted from a meteorite we found a few years back in holy silver mix, spoke Walter as he handed Naruto the small suitcase that he had taken the liberty of lugging around himself. When Naruto took out the guns, he was deeply impressed and started checking the sights and the weights that it took to handle them. "They are perfect, Walter," spoke Naruto as he put the guns back under his coat and then pulled them out in blinding speeds and aimed at the wall and imagined an imaginary foe. "You're a natural at using those," spoke Alucard as he watched Naruto wield his new guns. He noticed that they looked a lot like his own guns and figured Walter must have based the design on his own guns just like he had done the outfit. "Alucard, I have a mission for you. Your fledgling, and her fledgling are to report in my office immediately," spoke the voice over the intercom. Instantly Alucard vanished from sight. "Come on, we need to get to Sir Integra's office or else she is going to flip," spoke Ceres as she grabbed Naruto's hand and they both started running towards Integra's office. Yes, my master, spoke Naruto as he followed Ceres through the maze of hallways and room. Ceres was going to tell Naruto that he didn't have to call her that, but figured Alucard would have yelled at her for not being a true vampire again if she did, so she dropped it and speed up even more to reach Integra's office. From that day on, Naruto was a part of the elite team consisting of Alucard the leader, Ceres the heavy gunner, and Naruto the clean sweep. On the rooftops there were 3 people. One of them was an old man, the other was a voluptuous blonde-haired woman, and the last was a man who looked like he was about 18 with snow-white hair. They quickly set up 2 sniper rifles and then focused a couple into their sights. 7.5 seconds, you are slow, spoke the older man as he looked down at his 2 charges. Most would have been shocked or surprised to have 1 vampire subordinate, but he had 2 and he was not surprised at all. It came with the territory, he supposed, as he had been in the Hellsing organization for many years, working alongside Alucard and disposing of countless vampires in his lifetime. Ugh, spoke the blonde, also known as Ceres Victoria, as she rolled her eyes in her head. She couldn't believe he was giving her grief about something so petty, but bit her lip and tried to retain her professional appearance. The target is coming out of the alleyway. It appears it had chosen a target in that young couple, spoke the white-haired teen, also known as Naruto Uzumaki, but his codename inside of Hellsing was Nero. Take aim, spoke the old man as he looked down at the scene before him. He still could not believe that there was actually a vampire in this world that did not want to kill. When he looked down at Ceres, he always found hope in that there could be peace between their kinds, but when he looked at the ones that just went made with bloodlust like the ones he was ordered to take out, he felt that it might have been a fool's dream. The one that had always thrown him for a loop was Alucard, and now much more recently Naruto. They seemed to be at the center of peace-loving and bloodthirsty monsters. They didn't seem to mind killing in the least, and in Alucard's situation seemed to thrive in it, but at the end of the day they were back to normal and were not the bloodthirsty monsters that the rest of their kind was. He just sighed internally and got his head back into the game. You will not be needing that scope, spoke the old man as he watched Ceres try to put a scope on her rifle. Why, asked Ceres as she looked over at the commander of this little cleanup operation. We are both very well aware of what you are, so you will not be needing a scope, spoke the old man with the strange device on his head. Naruto saw the angered look on his master's face and decided to communicate with her telepathically. Would you like me to kill him for angering you so, master? Asked Naruto with his mind as he looked over at the shocked look on Ceres's face as she looked over at him. He had recently mastered the use of communicating with his mind, but she was still very shaky at best with it because she refused to use her vampiric powers for some reason. She shook her head, no, and got back in position to shoot the target. It is attacking the human couple, my master, spoke Naruto as he looked at the scene before him and watched with fascination as the vampire was holding onto the beautiful woman's legs. He found it strange that a vampire had such a hard time moving when usually they were many times faster and more agile than even the greatest of humans. It was like she was a ghoul with free will.
In the name of God, impure souls of the living dead shall be banished into eternal damnation, amen, spoke the old Cyclops as he watched them get ready to kill the vampire. If that is the prayer you're going to be saying, then I am just going to kill them before you can finish, because I will not help you send potentially innocent lives to the deeps of hell simply because you chanted some prayer to appease a god that actually allows these creatures to walk the planet.
When you die, I will say the same prayer for you and watch as your own soul is pulled into the deeps of hell, spoke Naruto as he gave the old man the death glare, which was amplified by the killing intent in the red eyes he had. The old man looked mad, but he didn't say anything, probably because he knew that Naruto didn't mind killing him like Ceres did. Fire, shouted the old man like what Naruto said had not even happened. Naruto watched his master as she prepared to kill the vampire that was attacking the human couple. He saw how she was hesitating to kill the vampire and how she seemed to be unable to pull the trigger.
Finally, right before the vampire was able to bite the human woman, Naruto quickly took the shot and killed the vampire. After he killed her, he gave his master an apologetic look because he knew how much she loathed killing. He looked down at the scene and saw the Hellsing soldiers going in to secure the area. They were taking in the human couple, probably to wipe their memories, and then they started to burn the vampire's body, but what worried him was the sad look on his master's face. I am sorry, sir, spoke Ceres as she looked down at the rooftop with a sad expression on her face. Naruto wanted to help her, but he just didn't know how. The old Cyclops looked at her with a casual look before he started talking. They say that failure in your first battle is a sign you will live longer, but in your case you will live as long as you like,
Or until you're sick of it anyways, spoke the old man as he took of his strange binoculars. I suppose, spoke Ceres as she looked even more depressed. Don't worry master, you won't be alone. I will always be there for you, spoke Naruto as he put his hand on top of Ceres's hand. He was surprised when he saw her face flush red and watched as she tried to hide her face.
Well, maybe in that case eternity won't be so bad, spoke Ceres as she tried to hide her face. She was having strange reactions that she was unsure of why, but she did know that it was because of Naruto. Maybe these feelings are because of our master-servant bond, thought Ceres, but deep down she did know the real reason for these feelings, she just could not bring herself to admit them yet.
After that they were all taken back to base, but when they got there the captain told them that because of Ceres's wish to not kill he was forced to take them off of the team as she was a flight risk.
She was not happy about that, but Walter showed up and took them to the Helsing Manor where they were to sleep from then on out. While in his room Naruto decided to do a little exploring and started walking around the manor. He eventually walked up a flight of stairs and saw two humans, probably butlers, and waved towards him, so he nodded his head and gave a friendly smile as to acknowledge them, but then came the voice of the woman that had been pissing him off since day one.
They are my servants, so don't feed off of them, spoke Integra as she looked down on Naruto from balcony above him. Naruto was annoyed at her less than ladylike comment, so he decided to mess with her. Why would I go for them when I could have pure virgin blood right now, spoke Naruto as he looked at Integra with a serious look that was only magnified by his ominous red eyes. I would have Alucard kill you before you could even get close to me, spoke Integra in a threatening voice as she looked down at Naruto with anger in her eyes.
I wouldn't bank on Alucard being able to protect you always, so how about a little advice? Don't go around being a complete bitch simply because you got lucky having someone like Alucard around to serve and protect you. Without him, I doubt you would even be alive right now, spoke Naruto as he walked off, leaving Integra fuming, but in the back of her mind, where her rationality lived, she had to admit that what Naruto said was true. Without Alucard she would have died a very long time ago.
In Integra's office. I hope this is not a habit you have developed, spoke Integra as she watched Alucard phase out of the wall with what looked like either shadows or just pure darkness.
The boy has been nothing but perfect when it comes to his work, and even you have to admit that he has become a valuable asset to the Helsing organization. Only you do not like him, but it is always you who starts the confrontations, spoke Alucard with a smirk on his face. It was nice seeing Integra being knocked down a few pegs every once in a while, as she started getting a big head when left in charge of something for too long. Whatever, just take a look at these reports. We have been tracking some hooligans heading north through Birmingham. They have been murdering whole families, drinking their blood, and using what is left to leave blasphemous messages on the walls. We are assuming there are at least 2 of them, spoke Integra as she looked at Alucard with annoyance still radiating in her eyes.
They just don't make vampires like they used to, spoke Alucard as he sighed like he actually gave a flying fuck. I forgot when I asked for your opinion. Just take care of them, spoke Integra as she huffed in annoyance. Well then, until tomorrow, spoke Alucard as he phased through the wall using the darkness once again. Integra just huffed and looked back at her evidence.
Down in Ceres's bedroom. Come on master, it is just some blood that was given to us by willing participants. It is not like we are killing anyone, or feeding on them after all, spoke Naruto as he tried to convince Ceres to drink the medical blood that had been provided for her. He had already drunk his own, but his master was still being rather stubborn about drinking her own. She looked like she was about to give in and drink the blood, but then she shook her head really quickly and swatted away the bucket full of ice that had the medical blood packet inside of it. She looked ready to cry, so Naruto pulled her into a hug and let her bury her face in his chest. It is okay master, I can understand how this could be difficult for you, spoke Naruto as he gently rubbed her back in slow soothing circles. Ceres was very happy that Naruto was conferring her, and continued to stay in his embrace until she fell asleep. The next day, Ceres and Naruto entered the shooting range underneath the Helsing Manor, and they didn't appreciate the looks they were getting from their fellow soldiers. Ceres ignored them, but Naruto shot them a glare. He saw the way his master picked up a normal rifle, and wondered why. Before she could start shooting it though, one of the soldiers came up and handed her something that looked like a cannon. Eventually they convinced her to use it, while Naruto practiced using ebony and ivory. Everyone was shocked at the sheer power Naruto's handguns were causing, but Naruto was amazed at how fast his master was learning to use her own weapon. Eventually they were called to action and they quickly left the shooting range and got into the armored vehicles parked outside. They rode out with the rest of the soldiers and positioned themselves on a large hill where they set up their rifles just like they had back in London. "We are to wait here until Alucard gives us the signal," spoke the captain as he looked at his team, and then towards Naruto and Ceres. They all nodded their heads, and the captain went to say his prayers, but Naruto cut across him and said one of his own for the future deceased, but this one was in the hopes that their souls would be forgiven and that they would be allowed to enter the pearly gates of heaven. The captain didn't say anything, but anyone and everyone knew he was mad. Naruto and Ceres watched with as Alucard created some type of illusion, which greatly interested Naruto, and proceeded to mock and toy with the fake vampires before he was able to scare both of them off. That was when Naruto and Ceres heard Alucard speak to their minds through telepathy.
"Don't fail me this time, police girl," spoke Alucard to Naruto and Ceres's minds. "You should be able to see her by now," spoke the Cyclops as he came out of the armored truck and knelt beside them.
"Sir, it is 500 meters, spoke Ceres, but then she stopped and sounded amazed. "My God, I can see her," spoke Ceres with pure amazement in her voice. She continued to watch them run before speaking again. "But she is just a girl, she can't be a vampire," spoke Ceres as she continued to watch the two would-be vampires try to run away. "Shoot her, Victoria," spoke the Cyclops in a commanding voice that made Naruto want to pull out ebony and use it to turn him into a puddle of goo. "Now Officer Ceres, take the shot," spoke the man in a more commanding voice. It didn't take another second before two shots could be heard throughout the surrounding lands. The two vampires fell like leaves in the wind, and Naruto was slightly surprised that Ceres had actually shot the girl.
The Cyclops put his hand against the headphones on his head and started speaking. Target A was taken out by Naruto, while Target B was taken out by Ceres. "Okay, will do," spoke the captain, and then he looked at the both of them. "Welcome to the Hellsing organization," spoke the captain. When they were alone, Naruto decided to talk to Ceres and try to convince her to drink the blood. "Master, wait a minute, can I ask you something?" spoke Naruto as he walked up beside Ceres and looked deeply into her eyes.
"Yes, Naruto, you can ask me anything," spoke Ceres as she looked back at Naruto. She was still surprised that he was so much taller than her. He stood about 6 foot tall now, so he towered over her. It was still funny how she was so much smaller than he was, yet she was the master and he was the servant. "You should really drink the blood. It will help you a lot, and I can tell you are in pain from not having sufficient nutrition from starving yourself," spoke Naruto as he gave Ceres a serious look. She looked away quickly but nodded her head. "Okay, but I would like to be alone while I did it," spoke Ceres as she walked towards the Hellsing Manor. Naruto nodded his head and went into the castle as well. As Naruto walked around the basement of the Hellsing Manor, he felt a strange pull coming from a room that he had found that was concealed by some kind of illusion. He quickly removed the symbols that prevented him from entering the room, and when they were all gone opened the door and walked inside. Inside was a small library full of books, and several artifacts that looked to have been used in some form of devil worship. "So it seems you have found where we keep all of the not-so-holy things, spoke the ominous and very distinctive voice of Alucard as he phased out of the wall to the right of Naruto. Naruto looked over at him with curiosity burning in his eyes.
"What is the book about?" asked Naruto as he started to read the titles. Some were in foreign languages but most were in English. From the titles, Naruto would have to say that they were books on black magic. Well, obviously they are books confiscated from vampires and other monsters that were trying to use their particular trades for less than honorable things, and we just ended up with our own little collection, spoke Alucard as he watched Naruto start reading one of the books. "Would it be alright if I read a few of the books?" asked Naruto, but he was already reading the book he had picked up. It was on how to manipulate the shadows and a few other things. Naruto was sure that Alucard could do this without having to learn the way a human would, and he could too. But now that he had a book, he would be able to master it a whole lot faster. "I don't see why not, but for your sake I suggest you don't tell Sir Integra about this," spoke Alucard as he phased out of the room. "She is such a wet blanket," spoke Naruto as he continued to read through the books. He discovered by channeling his dark powers into his eyes that he could read and comprehend things much faster, which made reading a whole lot easier. He could feel his master's distress through their mental link and instantly knew that she had not drank the blood, which saddened him slightly. but he was proud of his master for sticking by her moral through thick and thin.
In Integra's office. Humans creating vampires. What do you think that says about the world we created, Alucard? Asked Integra as she continued to look forward, not even looking at Alucard as he phased through the wall and started walking in her direction.
I think it says that history is full of mankind's cheap imitation, spoke Alucard as he gave Integra his famous sharp-toothed smirk. Perhaps that is just your true vampiric pride talking. Tell me what in essence is the difference between the true vampires that we have fought for centuries and these chipped human creatures, asked Integra as she finally looked over at Alucard from behind her interlocked fingers. Alucard just smirked at Integra and placed his hand over the chip that was lying on Integra's desk. The chip instantly floated up and started to sputter around like it was possessed, but then when its power was gone, Alucard released the chip and it fell back into the tray on Integra's desk, lifeless.
I know you are nothing like those creatures. What I said was uncalled for, spoke Integra as she gazed at the backside of Alucard as he stared at a picture of her father. Then why did you feel the need to say it? You humans are incomprehensible, you and that police girl, spoke Alucard as he stared at Integra with that same smirk on his face. Ring ring ring, rang the phone. Instantly Integra picked it up and started to talk to who was on the other side. When she got done she put the phone down and looked up, but Alucard was already gone. When Naruto got done reading he walked over to Saras's room and began to talk to her, but he didn't get far with the conversation before the intercom came on and told them that they had another mission. They quickly got packed and ready and ran outside and into one of the armored trucks full of heavily armed soldiers. Eventually they came upon a hospital where they quickly got out of the truck and ran inside of the hospital. Naruto was wondering what kind of monster was inside that they would need to send in 3 true vampires and 2 companies of soldiers. When they got to a bend in the hallways the captain stopped them all. Saras, you will hold your position here while Naruto guards you. P1 will be going in, spoke the captain as Saras got into position by placing her cannon-like weapon on the ground and placing the butt of the gun on her shoulder. Naruto just pulled out Ivory as he didn't see any reason to pull out Ebony and waited for something to happen.
It didn't take long for the excitement to begin because as soon as the soldiers were halfway down the shots could be heard going off in quick succession of one another. What's going on, Norton? Spoke the captain into his microphone, but then realized what had happened and whispered, my God, to himself, but Saras and Naruto both heard it.
When the smoke cleared the team that had just been sent in to clear the area was rising as ghouls and in the center was a pale-skinned man with blonde hair and sharp fangs in the center of everything. He quickly saw them and shouted, "Meet," before opening fire on them.
Saras unloaded 3 quick shots and killed all 3 of the ghouls that he had turned, and went to kill the vampire, but then the captain made a strange sound before falling to the ground with a bayonet lodged in his heart. When Saras saw the now dead captain she started to trip out a little bit. That didn't just happen just now, Captain Garrett, spoke Saras as she went to check on the recently killed captain. But then a strange sound was whistling through the air and when she looked up she saw another bayonet flying at her, and it was aimed for her neck. She knew instantly she would not be able to react in time, but was surprised when a giant broadsword blocked the path of the bayonet. She followed the sword until she was that it was in the hands of Naruto, and then she realized that he had used rebellion to save her from the strange weapon. I don't know who you are, priest, but you will not harm my master, spoke Naruto in a deadly voice as he looked over rebellion at the man before him. He was thankful he was able to put Ivory away and pull rebellion off of his back in time to block the lightning-fast bayonet before it was able to harm Saras.
Alexander Anderson has short, spiky blonde hair, green eyes, a heavy-set square jaw, and constant stubble. He also has a large, wedge-shaped scar on his left cheek. He had long canines, but they were still nowhere near as long as that of a vampire's, but still longer than any ordinary human's canines should be. He is lean with broad shoulders as well as very tall, being either slightly taller than or as tall as Alucard. He wears round glasses, a large gray cassock, white pants, black boots, a white shirt, white gloves, and a silver cross which often glows gold around his neck. On his gloves, there are inscriptions written across the crosses drawn on the back. The right hand says, Jesus Christ is in heaven. The left hand says, speak with dead. I will deal with you in a minute, right after I deal with the other one I was sent here to kill, spoke Anderson as he began walking towards the vampire speaking a prayer and preparing to kill the vampire. But Naruto was pissed off, and he was not going to let this asshole escape his wrath for a second longer, so he pulled out Ivory, and shot the crappy excuse for a vampire in the heart, thus taking away from the preacher's chance to kill him. Whoops, looks like you won't be taking credit for this kill, father, spoke Naruto as he placed Ivory back underneath his jacket and held on tightly to Rebellion, as he watched the priest with unscripted eyes. Just by looking at you I know you must be one of the Hellsing organizations. Tamed vampire abominations, spoke the priest as he and Naruto locked eyes. And you are from the Iscariot organization, aren't you? Catholic, spoke Naruto as he placed Rebellion on one of his shoulders with just his right hand. Iscariot has been ridding the world of monsters such as you for hundreds of years before Hellsing ever existed, spoke the priest as he started throwing bayonets and papers all over the walls that was somehow stopping his vampiric magic from working.
You defile this place, spoke Naruto as he gave Anderson the death glare.
I purified this house. Our mission is to punish any heretic that would deny the work of God. We will crush your unholy body and salt the earth with your dust, amen, spoke Anderson as he crossed his bayonets like they were some kind of cross. I have not denied the work of God, and it does not state in the Catholic Bible that vampires are inherently evil. Your organization is a group of purist murderers who use the name of God as an excuse for mass genocide, and for that I will not let you leave the place alive, spoke Naruto as he grabbed hold of Rebellion and charged Anderson with speeds that would be hard for a normal human to even see. Naruto started off with an over-the-head slash that Anderson was able to block with one of his bayonets, and then was able to counter his attack by slashing at him with the other bayonet. Naruto easily dodged, and pivoted on his left foot to spin his body and deliver a powerful swinging motion towards Anderson's side. He was happy to see Rebellion leave a large gash on Anderson's arm, but was surprised when the wound healed soon after. You're a regenerator, spoke Naruto as he looked at Anderson and remembered some of the books describing them, and the different kinds that there was. There was the kind that used magic to heal their body, others used science in the form of nanobots, and others were naturally blessed that way. Yes, this technology is a gift of God to help us destroy monsters like you, spoke Anderson as he charged Naruto again with a homicidal look in his eyes. You're not human anymore, just a failed science project. Sending you back to the Maker would be an act of mercy which I have none for you. I bet if I cut you head off then I will be able to send you back to hell, spoke Naruto as he went to bisect Anderson in half. Before he could carry out his threat though, a voice, which had annoyed him for so long, called out in a loud and commanding tone. That's enough, Paladin Alexander Anderson, spoke Integra as she stood there like she was actually some kind of threat to either of them. Naruto absently wondered how she would act if she didn't have Alucard as a shield and sword to back up her actions. You don't have the authority to command one of the true servants of God, spoke Anderson as he looked at Integra like she was an ant. I said that was enough. Now that the vampire is dead, your mission in our country is at an end, spoke Integra as she walked up to face Alexander like she was Alucard himself. That's funny, I thought my business was killing vampires, spoke Anderson using his smartass comments to piss Integra off, but it made Naruto smile. Nice one, man, spoke Naruto as he smiled at the way things had changed. HMPH, I am usually getting into trouble for my lack of respect and formality, joked Anderson as he looked back at Naruto with glee in his eyes. Same here, spoke Naruto as he nodded his head in Anderson's direction, which he returned in kind. You have already exceeded your authority and you will suffer the consequences of your actions today. New orders from the Archbishop have just arrived and he wants you to return to the Vatican immediately. You will leave by the good graces of Her Majesty, spoke Integra as she threw the piece of paper with the orders on it at Anderson in a dramatic way which made Naruto feel sick. I welcome the next time we meet Sir Integra and you, Naruto, the newest vampire, spoke Anderson as he walked away tall and proud of who he was. You two had better listen, and you had better listen now. There is no room in the Hellsing family, nor organization for vampires that get pummeled by a regenerator, spoke Integra as she began walking away with her many suit and jacket billowing in the wind. HMPH, like she could have done any better, spoke Naruto as he offered Sarah's one of his hands that she took thankfully to help her stand back up. What should we do? Asked Sarah as she looked at Naruto. I don't know, But I do know she is just being a hard ass to put up a front so that the organization doesn't look weak. Just give her some time and I know she will warm up to us, spoke Naruto as he and Ceres left the building hand in hand, which caused both of their undead hearts to beat rapidly. Move it, move it, move it, shouted the new captain of Ceres and Naruto's team as they all ran inside of the armored truck. Naruto didn't think anything was wrong until the captain called them out as they tried to enter the armored truck. You two there, spoke the captain as he looked at Naruto and Ceres.
Sir, spoke Naruto and Ceres as they stopped and turned around to look at the new captain.
I don't think you two belong in a human field unit, spoke the captain, which caused Ceres to look down and Naruto to growl, but Naruto's true anger rose when the new captain touched Ceres's chin and lifted it up so they were looking each other in the eyes. He about killed the man on the spot for what he said next though. Even though you are a monster, do you ever feel the need for a man in your bed? Asked the captain with a smirk that said that he felt superior to Ceres and that he was actually doing her a favor by offering her such a disgusting thing. Naruto couldn't hold it back any longer and pulled out ebony, and pointed it right in between the captain's eyes, which startled him greatly. Don't you ever touch my master like that again, and if you so much as imply such a disgusting thing again to her, the only thing that you will ever get into ever again will be your own coffin when I put you 6 feet under while you are still alive, spoke Naruto as he pushed the captain off of his feet so that he fell to the ground, and grabbed Ceres's hand and pulled her into the truck. Thanks, spoke Ceres using telepathy. She was happy Naruto came to her rescue then because she was unsure how she would have reacted to such a situation. You're welcome, but the next time he does something like that will be his last, spoke Naruto using his mind as he tried to cool his head. Something about the way she was being discriminated against for something she had no real control over just set him off. In Integra's office, has the new commander reported to his post? Asked Integra as she leaned against a bookshelf wearing her usual green man's suit. Yes, he just transferred in from the SAS. He is a first-rate candidate, spoke the old man, though he wasn't wearing his usual Cyclops binoculars. God and Her Majesty be with you, amen, spoke Integra, but her face didn't change one bit throughout the conversation. Amen, spoke the old man as he left the room. When he was gone, Integra turned around and began talking to Walter as he said he needed to talk to her after her meeting. You said you needed to show me something, Walter, asked Integra as she walked around the corner and looked at the computer screen that Walter was messing with. Yes, I have something to show you, spoke Walter as he pulled up a video that he found online. What is this? Asked Integra as she lowered her head somewhat to see what was going on the computer. This is a snuff film I found on the internet. There seems to be an underground market for this type of thing. Films of people being killed, spoke Walter as he played the video. It showed a regular man standing there and then a shot could be heard before the man fell over dead. In the old day it was film, and then it moved on to video. Now the stuff mainly travels through the internet, spoke Integra as she watched the video. That is quite true, but the reason I called you down here is because this film has a very special guest star, spoke Walter before he started typing on the computer, making it magnify a small piece of the video, and there on the shoulder of one of the people was the Helsing coat of arms. This guest star is wearing the Helsing coat of arms, and it is sadly the recently deceased Captain Gareth, spoke Walter as he looked sad at what he was seeing. Was all that Integra said, but the look in her eyes spoke of how angry she was. With Ceres and Naruto, as they rode in the armored truck, Ceres looked up and noticed the looks the current captain was giving her, and put her head down trying to ignore the disgusting looks, but Naruto was not going to sit there and let his master be abused like that, so he kicked the captain's leg, causing him to shoot Naruto a death glare, but when his eyes met Naruto's he was all of a sudden in a dark room with only Naruto to keep him company. He tried to speak, but no words would come out, and then he had to watch as Naruto slowly pulled out ivory from his jacket, pointed at him, and began taking shots out of him. He wanted to scream as the pain was so intense, but just as there was nothing left of him, the illusion dropped and he were back inside of the armored truck, and no one was the wiser. He was sweating profusely, and when he saw the look Naruto was giving him, he knew that saying anything would be the last thing he ever did, so he wisely shut up. Back with Walter and Integra. When was this made? Asked Integra as she watched the computer with unblinking eyes. The film is only 3 minutes long, and there is nothing to indicate the time or location in which it was made. I assume it was filmed 3 weeks ago in Coventry, spoke Walter like what he had just done was such a simple thing. How many people have seen it? Asked Integra silently approving of Walter's skill. There really is no way to know. The film has already been online for 24 hours, by now it has already found a way to spread like things on the internet usually seem to do, spoke Walter as he tried to find out all he could about the film. Who is responsible for it? Asked Integra as she looked at Walter.
A TV station and some tabloids have already tried to publish the story. I will have media management take care of it, spoke Walter as he looked up at Integra.
Have it done. The Helsing organization can never be known to the innocent masses, spoke Integra. With Naruto and Ceres. All right men, you have 15 minutes, so follow Stedler, spoke the Cyclops as he looked at the team of men and vampires. Don't disappoint me. In and out in 10 minutes, shouted Stedler as he looked at his team. The men all started rushing inside of the building and Naruto and Ceres were right behind them, but the captain seemed to want to really piss them off today, so he called out to them. Victoria, Naruto, did you two plan to hide in the back of the unit, were you? Asked Stedler as he gave a condescending smirk towards them, but oddly avoided Naruto's gaze as he did so. No sir, spoke Ceres as she looked over at the captain of their team. Then let's have that door down, spoke Stedler as he gave Ceres some kind of grenade launcher-like weapon. Ceres quickly traded out her weapon with the grenade launcher and ran back inside of the building. When Stedler looked over at Naruto, his blood ran cold because Naruto was slowly pulling out ivory, just like in that nightmare, and the way Naruto was looking at him made him believe he was really going to kill him. He was released when Naruto slowly walked towards the building, but the eye contact was still being kept until Naruto vanished in the darkness of the building. Naruto doesn't seem to like you, Stedler. I would be careful if I were you. Like Alucard, Naruto only answers to his master, and if you continue to push at them he will kill you and there will be nothing you can do about it, spoke the Cyclops as he walked back inside of the armored truck to relay messages to the team. Stedler just looked angry, but wisely kept his mouth shut. With Integra. Integra was on the phone and she didn't look happy. MI5 has already taken action, spoke Integra as she put the phone down and looked over her shoulder as Alucard phased out of the ceiling. There is something so human in finding delight in the death of one's fellow man, spoke Alucard as he landed on the ground and looked at Integra and Walter with the smirk on his face. Walter, spoke Alucard as he looked at Walter with a smirk on his face. Yes, Alucard, asked Walter as he looked at Alucard with curiosity written all over his face. The Kasul is great for killing cheap vampires, but I want something with a little bit more power if I want to take down Father Anderson in case Naruto is unable to do so. I also like the weapon you made for Naruto, the ebony, I think you called it. I think it is only fair since you based his ivory off of my Kasul, that I get a gun that is based off of his ebony, spoke Alucard with a smirk on his face. I have just the thing in mind, spoke Walter with a smile on his face. I look forward to it, spoke Alucard as he disappeared from the room. With Naruto and Ceres. As Naruto, Ceres, and the rest of the team came upon a door, Ceres decided she should go in first, although Naruto believed the idea came to her mind because of that jackass of a captain. I will go first, spoke Ceres as she kicked down the door. I am right behind you, my master, spoke Naruto as he pulled out the ebony and ivory, just in case of a vampire was nearby. When they entered the room they saw a man starting to turn into a ghoul, and to Naruto's surprise Ceres took out a gun and shot him in the heart. The other men seemed put off by this, but Ceres just shrugged them off. We have to do this, or they will turn into ghouls. It is merciful this way and it will ease their suffering faster, Ceres as she put her handgun back in its holder. They continued searching the building and eventually came upon a room full of dead people. Master, there is a vampire in the room, spoke Naruto as he aimed ebony at the ceiling where a vampire was standing upside down on. It tried to fire off its automatic weapon, but Naruto shot it, completely destroying a large section of the roof with the power of his weapon. Did you get it? Asked one of the men. No, it is faster than the usual trash we fight. It is hiding on the 3rd floor, spoke Naruto into his headphone, but when the man said that he already had men ready for it, Naruto started to get suspicious. Naruto, Ceres, we need you to do a little bit of rat catching, spoke the old man on the wireless headphones they all had. What do you need us to do? Asked Naruto. Find the person who has been recording this and bring him in, spoke the old man. We will get right on it, sir, spoke Naruto as he and Sarah's took off to search for the rat.
It didn't take long to find him, and to Naruto's disgust he was on the ground crying like a little baby. Naruto wanted to shoot such a pathetic man right then and there, but knew he would get an earful from Sir Integra if he did. When they got outside with the target, the men took him from them and escorted him to the police, who quickly took him and put him in a cop car. It seemed that Sarah's was not done through and went over to the captain and started questioning him.
Captain Stedler, how did you know that the target was waiting for us on the 3rd floor? Asked Sarah's, but she ignored him when he said, and continued questioning him. Why didn't you share that information with the forward unit? Demanded Sarah's as she stared at the captain. Naruto about killed him instantly when he put his finger on the bottom of her chin and started talking so disrespectfully to her. You just think you're the hot inhuman shit, don't you, Victoria? How would you like to suck my blood, or do you want something else? Spoke Stedler as he face got within inches of Sarah's, but he stopped when the feeling of someone putting a giant handgun to the back of his head registered in his brain. I thought I told you to never touch my master again. It seems you didn't hear me, but that okay, because you will never be able to hear again after I am through with you, spoke Naruto as he went to pull the trigger, but the old man put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and gave him an order. Naruto, you are to cease and desist immediately, spoke the old man as he gave Naruto a hard look, but he knew it was in vain as the look in Naruto's eyes was murderous. I don't take orders from you, spoke Naruto, and then the sound of metal being pulled back could be heard. Before Naruto could finish pulling back on his gun, Sarah's shouted out at him. Naruto, stop immediately, spoke Sarah's as she looked at him with serious eyes. Naruto didn't want to, but she was his master, so there wasn't anything he could do. Yes, my master, spoke Naruto as he put the ebony back in his jacket. Stedler, seeing this, went to say something smart, but the old man stopped him before he could make such a stupid decision. Stedler, go with the rest of the troops, and if this happen again I doubt I will be able to save you from death the next time you piss him off, spoke the old man as he gave Stedler an even harder look than he gave Naruto. Stedler didn't look happy, but he stalked off without saying anything, but his face spoke of how angry he was. Later, with Walter and Integra, the man taken into custody is known only as the alias Flesh. It seems our man, Flesh, is quite a mover and shaker on the internet. He has been interrogated, subjected to polygraph, and we have even inflicted some creative information retrieval techniques on him. Still, he has not given us any information about himself or any organization that he is with. He states his policy is, I watch what I want and I show others what they want to watch. The problem arises from the hungry market of consumer for his sort of product, and that demand naturally creates willing suppliers, spoke Walter as he looked over at Integra. She had a thoughtful look on her face, but what she was thinking about he could not say.
With Sarah's and Naruto, what are we doing? Asked Sarah's as she watched Naruto following the captain. Don't you think it is strange that the captain knew where the vampire was even before we entered the building the other day? I have a feeling that he knows more than he should, and I wanted to catch him in the act, spoke Naruto as he watched Stedler enter a bar full of shady people. He didn't say it, but he also wanted evidence of Stedler's betrayal so that he could personally kill him for harassing the person he cared for most in the world.
You're right, spoke Sarah's as she followed Naruto. While they were in the bar waiting for something to happen, they naturally got to talking. Sarah's didn't know why, but she felt like she could trust Naruto with her secrets and ended up telling him her entire life story, and to her shock and amazement he comforted her by telling her it was all right and that he would never let something like that happen again. They shared a very special moment, and went back to watching Stedler. Eventually the woman that they had saved a while back came in and Stedler and her started talking. What is going on with those two? Asked Sarah's as she gazed over at them as they talked in hushed whispers.
That is the woman we saved from that vampire a while back.
I remember she was the one the vampire grabbed hold of. She must not have let the whole thing go, and is now investigating it, spoke Naruto as he continued to watch them. Eventually they began to leave and Naruto and Sarah's followed them. They eventually came upon an abandoned warehouse in downtown London. When they entered the warehouse they saw a vampire about to bite into the neck of a human. Naruto knew that things would get really ugly real fast if this was how the human masses found out about them, so he decided to step into the vampire's line of sight. "Who the fuck are you?" asked the vampire as he looked at Naruto with bloodlust in his eyes. "What is it that is so amusing about exposing your filthy face to the world? Does having an audience for your sins make you feel special? Does it make you proud?" asked Naruto as he gave the vampire a look of disgust. "Hey, if you two are going to fight, I am just going to leave," spoke the man the vampire was about to kill, but then the vampire took hold of his jacket and threw him into a wall, thus killing him. "Ah, you just killed your co-star," spoke Naruto as he looked at the vampire with a look that spoke of how little he actually cared. "You talk too much," spoke the vampire as he pulled out a noticeably large gun and pointed it at Naruto. "I can only pity such a vampire. You're a Titian reduced to a servant just to give humans a good show," spoke Naruto as he was unfazed by the gun the vampire was holding. The vampire unleashed two shots at Naruto, but he easily avoided them and pulled out Ebony, pointed it in between the vampire's eyes, and pulled the trigger, blowing its head off its shoulders. The bullet continued on its course and destroyed the window behind the vampire, revealing Captain Stedler, the blonde woman, and an older man who was cowering on the floor. "What are you doing here, Naruto?" shouted Stedler as he pulled out his pistol full of blessed silver bullets, thinking that it would be enough to kill Naruto. "Why did you need to witness this? I will never understand humans, as even though my master and I are the ones that saved your life, it is you who is trying to reveal us in such a disgusting light. If the masses found out about us, especially in this kind of light, they would hunt us down relentlessly, regardless of those of us who are innocent and those who are guilty. You repay the debt owed to us by trying to have us destroyed," spoke Naruto as he looked into the blonde woman's eyes. She looked shocked, but then later shamed by what she saw. Naruto smirked when he saw the fear in Stedler's eyes and slowly pulled out ivory and pointed it at him. "I can't tell you how long I have waited for this," spoke Naruto as he smirked at Stedler. Right before Naruto pulled the trigger, the voice of the old man came crashing into his ears, pissing him off. "Naruto, you have done a fine job, but let us take care of it from here," spoke the old man as he walked towards Stedler and the rest of the group. Stedler smirked, thinking he was going to get off and away from Naruto, as did the old man on the ground. Naruto was relatively surprised when the blonde woman looked like she was about to say something to him. That was when Integra walked in, and Naruto knew he still had a chance of killing Stedler. "Lady Hellsing, I have proven myself many times over to this organization, and I have done it on my free will. My master never once told me to help you or your organization, so I believe I am entitled to some form of reward," spoke Naruto as he looked into Integra's eyes, and she knew instantly that he was very serious about this. "And what form of reward do you want?" asked Integra as she looked at Naruto with calculating eyes. "I want Stedler, and the rest of them. I want him to feel the ultimate fear right before I take everything from him that he has in this life, and I will punish the other two as I see fit as well," spoke Naruto as he looked over at Stedler, who was looking scared once again. "What do you think, Alucard?" asked Integra as she watched Alucard phase into the room. The blonde woman looked surprised by this, but put her head down in shame when she saw the look in Naruto's eyes. "He is right when he says he has been doing all of this on his own free will, and you haven't actually paid him, so I believe you do owe him, if only a little. I say give him Stedler. It's not like it will make a difference anyways, and I highly doubt he does anything that will cause problems with the other two anyways, but like always the final choice is up to you," spoke Alucard as he watched Naruto with interest. The look in his glowing red eyes was all he needed to know to answer his curiosity.
"Fine. You can have Stedler and the rest of the crew, but if I find your punishment is not enough, I will make my own punishment," spoke Integra as she watched Naruto smile and then pick up the gun Stedler had dropped. She was surprised when he threw Stedler his gun before smiling again.
"I want you to run. Run as fast as you can, and if you can get away then you will be free, but if you can't then your fate will be worse than you can even imagine," spoke Naruto as she smiled, showing off his ivory white teeth. Stedler instantly took off, and was down a flight of stairs very quickly, but when he turned to run down the next flight of stairs, the sound of a gun going off could be heard, and a searing pain could be felt in his leg. When he looked down he saw that his knee had been blown in 1,000 pieces and that the lower part of his leg was gone.
"Ah!" shouted Stedler as he gripped the bottom of his leg as he tried to stem the flow of blood loss. And here I was hoping you would at least be able to get out of the building before I killed you, spoke Naruto as he phased out of the roof. He was happy he found out how to do it in one of those books that he found in the Helsing Manor. Die you monster, shouted Stedler as he started shooting at Naruto with his blessed silver bullets. Naruto just smirked and removed Rebellion from his back and used it to knock the bullets away from him. He quickly used it to cut off Stedler's hands and watched with satisfaction as he started flailing on the ground in pain. Ah, my hands, you monster, you cut off my hands, shouted Stedler as he looked at the two stumps where his hands used to be. Naruto quickly put Rebellion back on his back and picked Stedler up by his throat. Goodbye, Captain, spoke Naruto right before he bit into Stedler's neck and began drinking all of the blood in his body. He made sure he had drank every drop of his blood before he threw the shriveled up body onto the floor and left to go deal with the other two thorns in his master's side. When he got back he saw Integra giving him a piercing look, Sarah's giving him a concerned look, and Alucard giving him a look that threatened to split his face. Naruto could already tell that Alucard had told everyone about him drinking all of Stedler's life essence. So you have become a true vampire, spoke Integra as she looked at him. Naruto knew it wasn't a suggestion, more of a casual statement, so he ignored her and looked at the other two people in the room that he would have to deal with. The man was lying against the wall in fear, but the woman was standing strong and proud, something Naruto was impressed by. Naruto quickly pulled out Ivory and killed the one who was cowering in fear, and then turned to the blonde-haired woman. You seem ready to meet your fate, spoke Naruto as he eyed the woman. She seemed scared, but then again she seemed to not shy away from a threat, and that was something Naruto could truly respect, although he still didn't know why. He figured it probably had something to do with his lost memories. I know what I did was wrong, but I will not beg for forgiveness. I was taught at a young age to follow what I believe in until the end, which is probably why I get so focused on one thing and completely block out the rest of the world. I am sorry for not thinking about the vampires that would have suffered from my actions, but that is also why I will accept any punishment you give me, spoke the blonde-haired woman. What is your name? Asked Naruto as he thought of the perfect way to both piss off Integra and to punish this woman for what she had done. Rose Dunn, spoke Rose as she looked deeply into Naruto's blood-red eyes with her enchanting blue one. Naruto almost didn't want to do what he was thinking just to save those beautiful blue eyes. Well, Rose, I will give you a choice. You can stand there and let me kill you with either one of my guns or even my sword. If you choose this way, then when you die you will be judged as a human and will have a much better chance of entering heaven, but if you choose my second offer it will be nigh impossible for that to happen. I will offer you the chance to become my fledgling. An immortal vampire that will walk the earth drinking human blood until the end of time, but if you choose this choice then you will be my servant for possibly eternity and you will almost defiantly never enter heaven. If you choose to forsake the light then do not expect to ever be able to change your mind because it will never come true, spoke Naruto as he looked deeply into Rose's eyes and held onto both of her arms. I, Rose Dunn, choose to forsake the light and embrace the dark in the hopes that one day I am able to repay my future master for the sins that I tried to bring upon him. I am not a coward for I don't fear death, but I hate the idea of simply running away from a debt owed, spoke Rose with conviction in her voice. Integra looked ready to shout at Naruto, but she knew she couldn't because she had already agreed to let him punish her as he saw fit. Alucard was smiling like a madman and was enjoying Naruto's presence more and more as time went on. Sarah's was jealous for some reason at the way they were looking into each other's eyes the way that they were and couldn't help wishing that it was her that Naruto was about to bite. Don't ever forget that this was your choice, spoke Naruto as he sank his fangs into Rose's neck and began changing her into his first and only fledgling. When the process was done Rose's eyes had shifted to a blood-red color and she had passed out in Naruto's eyes. You will be training her, spoke Integra as she started to walk away. She was surprised when she heard what Naruto said.
I think she should learn from Walter as well. I think learning how to use those wires of his will certainly be a valuable asset in the future, spoke Naruto as he walked over to his master and kissed her on the cheek making her flush scarlet red. Don't think for a second, master, that she will ever hold the same place in my heart as you do, spoke Naruto as he vanished into thin air leaving Sarah stuttering like a fool.
Very interesting, spoke Alucard as he vanished as well. Thank you for your patience on this matter, Alucard. I believe you will be very pleased, spoke Walter as he put a briefcase on the counter and watched as Alucard phased into the room with Sarah's and Naruto right behind him. He slowly walked over to Walter as he opened the case only to reveal a large black handgun with a large black clip. Nice, spoke Alucard as he looked at the handgun. The 13mm Jackal, a semi-automatic freak weapon, and is 300mm long and weighs 16 kilograms, with 6-round magazines. This is too much gun for any human to be able to handle. Instead of the modified rounds from your 455 Castle, we have made a customized armor-piercing round especially for this gun, spoke Walter as he watched Alucard examine his new weapon like it was a brand new toy. The vampire never let his shit-eating grin leave his face while he waved his new gun around like a baby's rattle. Casing, asked Alucard as he inserted the clip in the Jackal. Pure silver, Macedonian processed, spoke Walter as he smiled at his genius design. Ammunition, spoke Alucard as his smile got even larger. In a 9 Marvel cartilages, spoke Walter. Explosive or mercury charged, asked Alucard as he cocked back the slide on his gun and pointed it at the ground. Oh, mercury, and of course they have already been blessed, spoke Walter as he looked over at Naruto and Ceres as they examined the gun along with Alucard. He was pleased to see the approving looks they were giving the gun and grinned even more when Naruto pulled out Ebony, and had a look on his face like he wanted to test out which one of their guns was better. It is perfect, Walter, spoke Alucard as he released the slide on his gun and looked down the sights. I am glad that you are pleased, spoke Walter as he looked at Alucard with a smile on his face. Do you think you could even kill the Paladin Anderson with this gun? Asked Ceres as she looked over Alucard's shoulder to examine the gun some more. Oddly, Naruto got a little bit jealous and even a little hurt when she asked this because Naruto saw Alexander as his target, not Alucard's, and for his master to ask such a question must have meant she didn't have faith that he could do it. It doesn't matter because I am going to kill the Paladin the next time I see him, spoke Naruto as he pulled out Ebony, and pointed it right between Alucard's eyes before speaking again. And nobody is going to get in the way of me and my prey, spoke Naruto with a very serious look on his face. Alucard just smirked and put the Jackal in between Naruto's eyes and grinned even more when Naruto didn't even show an ounce of fear. Well, you better get a move on because if you continue to take your time I might just use him to test out my new toy, spoke Alucard as he looked down at Naruto. Naruto gritted his teeth and his eyes flared a murderous red before he pulled back the hammer on his gun. You want to bet on it? Whoever wins gets the Paladin, spoke Naruto as he gave Alucard the evil eye. Alucard just gave Naruto a smirk that revealed all of his pearly white fangs and had a look of pure amusement in his eyes. Oh, so you want to have a go against me, do you? Fine, how about a quick fight down in the basement? Whoever can hit their target the first 10 times wins, spoke Alucard as he looked down at Naruto. Naruto gritted his teeth because he knew Alucard was much more powerful than him, but he wasn't going to back down, especially in front of his master. Deal. Whoever wins gets the Paladin and the other can't interfere, spoke Naruto as he put Ebony back in his jacket. Before anyone could say anything else, Walter decided to begin talking again because he still had to introduce Ceres to her new weapon and he was sure she was just going to love it. Mrs. Victoria. Very good, I have a new weapon for you as well, spoke Walter as he struggled to lift a large weapons case off of the ground before placing it on the table. Oh, what is it? Asked Victoria as she looked over at Walter. When he opened the case, Naruto would have fallen out laughing if he wasn't so focused on his fight with Alucard. It was a freaking cannon and it would have normally made him laugh at the thought of Ceres lugging such a thing around. The 30mm, anti-freak, Harkonnen cannon is a weapon made just for you. The Harkonnen cannon uses 2 types of ammunition. The first is depleted uranium shells, and the second is armor-piercing incinerating rounds, spoke Walter as he stood the gun up on the butt side and Naruto almost lost it when the gun was even taller than he was. You aren't seriously going to make me carry that thing around, are you? Asked Ceres as she looked from Naruto to Alucard and then towards Walter and the Harkonnen. It really suits you, spoke Alucard with a grin on his face. Yes, master, it really exemplarities you power and strength, spoke Naruto, but it was obvious by the strained look on his face and the way he was obviously holding back laughter that he was just kidding with her. Ceres started to babble about how she wouldn't look good carrying it around, and about how the length of the gun was a problem, and that her strength would be inadequate for such a weapon, but Walter cut her off in mid-ramble. Your next mission should be very interesting indeed, Miss Victoria, spoke Walter as he looked at Ceres with a smirk on his face. Ceres could only give a fake laugh as there was nothing left she could say. Before they all left and went down to where Naruto and Alucard were going to battle, Naruto decided to ask Walter a question. Is my fledgling giving you any trouble, Walter? Asked Naruto as he looked back at Walter. He looked surprised, but Sarah's looked strangely jealous he was bringing her up. She had been a gem, although she has been like Miss Victoria here and has not been very keen on drinking blood, but other than that she is learning fast and has done everything I have told her. She has gotten the basics down on using my wire techniques, but she is still very much a beginner and won't be much help in the fields as of yet, spoke Walter as he looked over at Naruto. He was surprised when Naruto had asked him to train his first fledgling, especially on how to use his wires, but he was happy to do so as it was like passing on his legacy to the next generation. Thanks Walter, I owe you one, spoke Naruto as he phased out of the room and appeared in Alucard's personal room. In Alucard's personal room, this should be fun, spoke Alucard as he faded into the room. Naruto knew Sarah's would be coming very soon, but didn't want her stopping the fight too soon, so he pulled out Ivory and shot Alucard straight in the head, but to his amazement when Alucard was falling backwards he was still able to lift the causal and shoot at him. Naruto used his very impressive speeds to dodge the gunfire, and grabbed Rebellion with his right hand to block the bullets he couldn't dodge.
Naruto continued firing at Alucard and the vampire didn't seem to care that he was being hit left and right by a hail of gunfire, but Naruto was instantly on alert after he shot Alucard with the 8th bullet when Alucard pulled out the jackal and shot a giant bullet at him. Naruto raised the Rebellion and used it to block the bullet, but was surprised when it sent him hurtling towards the wall. He quickly did a quick spin in midair and planted his feet on the wall, which cracked it.
You're very fast, and you have some of the best reaction time I have ever seen. You truly are a very interesting vampire, so let's see what you got, spoke Alucard as he easily put himself back together and unleashed a hailfire of bullets at Naruto. Naruto wasn't having a very easy time avoiding all of Alucard's bullets, and he suspected that Alucard was using a little black magic to make the bullets go even faster and to refill his clips because he hadn't refilled them once and the wall looked like it was half bullet holes half brick. I can't keep running, I will have to attack again eventually. All I have to do is hit him 2 more times and and thought Naruto as he thought of a good idea. He pulled Rebellion back like he was about to put it back on his back, but then threw it with phenomenal speeds that surprised even him. He saw the look of surprise on Alucard's face, but grinned when the sword stabbed him in the chest and stuck him to the wall. Naruto quickly pulled out Ebony and Ivory, and unleashed a hailfire of bullets of his own. He was happy when one of the bullets he shot using Ebony blew off one of Alucard's arms, but didn't see any of the other bullets hit. He waited for the smoke to clear, and when it did he was very surprised. Standing there was Alucard with his sword still lodged in his chest, but where his arm used to be was some kind of black and red stuff that was forming into a giant 6-eyed dog. Amazing, you really are a little genius when it comes to being a vampire, but let me show you how real vampires fight, spoke Alucard as he put his hands together and the entire room went black. Naruto really wished he still had his sword, but having Ebony and Ivory in hand really helped calm his nerves. He was really surprised when eyes started to pop up and open all around the darkness, and Naruto was sure that Alucard could see out of them. This is how real vampires fight, spoke Alucard as the giant dog took off towards him at breakneck speeds, and by the looks of it, it was going to try to eat him. Naruto stood his ground and waited for the dog to get close enough. When it did, Naruto quickly shot the dog in the head with Ebony, thus making it stop for a second and howl in pain as a giant hole appeared in its head. When it did this, Naruto used Ivory to shoot out all 6 of its eyes. While the demon dog was howling in pain, Naruto used some black magic he learned and poured some of his own blood out of his body and willed it to enter his guns, thus refilling them with blood magic bullets. Naruto pointed his gun at the giant dog and blasted it one good time, which completely liquefied it, and then turned his guns on Alucard and blasted him all over the walls. When that was over, Naruto put his guns away and picked up Rebellion. But before he left he looked over at the smear that was Alucard and knew he would pull himself together in a second and spoke. The paladin is mine. I might not get him today, or tomorrow, or the next day, but eventually I will kill him, not you, Alucard. I will prove to my master my own worth, spoke Naruto as he left the room. When Naruto was gone, Alucard pulled himself together, and when he was done reforming he couldn't get the grin off of his face. Oh yes, Naruto, you are very interesting, spoke Alucard. In Integra's office, the MI5 agent that was investigating the artificial vampires has been found dead, spoke Integra as she looked out of her window that was directly behind her desk. That is absurd. Back in my day people had more respect for MI5 agents. Nobody would have ever resorted to such a brazen attack, spoke Walter, but he was cut off by Integra's annoyed voice. That is beside the point, Walter, spoke Integra as she continued looking out of the window. Madam, asked Walter in a confused voice. Thanks to this incident, forces all over England have begun accessing what sort of action should be taken, spoke Integra, although she didn't sound particularly happy. A round table meeting must be held, mustn't it? Asked Walter as he turned his head with a look of though on his face. I believe it must, and soon, spoke Integra as her face hardened slightly. Outside. According to reports by the local police, those people being attacked are some kind of religious cult. Reconnaissance says they may have illegal weapons, spoke the old man as he looked at Integra as they both stood beside an armored truck. No need to beat around the bush. Ghouls or not, we will be dealing with some especially dangerous scum tonight. Humbly accept your orders, and may God and Her Majesty be with you, spoke Integra, but like always she wasn't looking the person she was talking to in the eyes. She was just staring at the side of an armored truck with that unmoving face. Amen, spoke the old man as he and his men got in the armored truck and took off. With Sarah's, Naruto, and the human troops, when Naruto and Sarah's got to their destination, they quickly ran out of the armored trucks with the soldiers and kicked down the door to the building. Inside was one ghoul which Naruto quickly took care of and watched as the humans began to look around. He found it odd that they only found one ghoul and used his third eye, also known as his mind's eye, to search the building. That was how he found the bomb that was quickly counting down. Everyone run. There is a bomb in the building, shouted Naruto as he and Sarah's ran out of the building followed by the human troops. When they were a good distance away, the building exploded, but thankfully nobody was inside that they had come with. The old man on the phone with Integra. It was a trap, but thankfully Naruto was able to detect the bomb and get everyone out of there before anything bad happened to them all. I am very sorry, ma'am, spoke the old man as he talked to Integra. Damn freaks. How dare they underestimate my organization, spoke Integra as she slammed the phone onto the place where the phone rested. Is my master all right? Asked Rose as she and Walter waited by Integra's desk for further instructions. Integra looked at the girl, but then schooled her facial features before responding. Yes, Naruto and the rest of them are fine. Luckily they were able to find the bomb and get everyone out of the building before it went off, spoke Integra as she looked out the window. Oh, thank God, spoke Rose as she placed her hand over her heart. She was now wearing slightly different clothing than she had been in the past. She was now wearing Integra's office. Sir Integra, spoke Walter as he walked into the office room where Integra was staring at a picture of her father. Yes, spoke Integra, although she didn't look at him. The knights have arrived and are ready for the conference, spoke Walter as he stood straight up with a look of pride. Integra fixed her tie and followed Walter to the conference room. When she got there, she and Walter saw a rectangular table with men sitting on all sides, and another man sitting at the very end. Integra took her place at the head of the table as it was her place. It's rare for the knights of the Round Table to wear their swords, spoke Integra as she looked at all of the men that were in the room. Sir Integra Wingates Helsing. The knights of the modern world have more effective weapons than swords, spoke the man who was obviously in charge of the meeting.
Sir Integra, according to your reports, many of the creatures you have been encountering recently are man-made vampires made due to these implanted, freak, chip devices, spoke the man as he continued to look at Integra. He didn't look snobby, nor did he seem to be blaming her for anything, just simply stating facts. So Integra responded in turn. The mission of the Helsing organization is to end all earthly activity of all non-human creatures. In the process of completing this mission, we are expected to have many meetings and battles with vampires, but it is not our mission to investigate the mechanism of this chip or to determine who is distributing it, spoke Integra as she looked at a man with a balding problem who didn't look happy at her calling him out like that.
We are doing an investigation on the chips, spoke the man, although he looked disgruntled. An investigation in which you let your man get killed. They even stuck a Union Jack in him, spoke Integra, but the man just grunted. You misunderstand your situation, Sir Integra. We all attend the Round Table Conference to share our power and knowledge with each other out of a loyalty and reverence to Her Majesty, spoke the head of the meeting from behind his interlocked fingers. I understand, spoke Integra, but her facial features didn't change at all. No, Sir Integra, you do not. You see, your actions have become a bit too flashy as of late. Non-human creatures have existed since ancient times, and Great Britain has been able to keep this controlled and contained up until recently. Your Helsing organization is leaving a stain on our illustrious history. Helsing has been too loud and too public. One could wonder if you are qualified for your job, spoke another man. but this time he was a bit more heavy-set and wore an ugly suit much like Integra's. The enemy is armed with powerful weapons, I have had no choice. As for information control, I believe that is your job, spoke Integra as she looked at the man with uncaring eyes. That is beside the point. There is a limit on how much information can be suppressed, spoke the man as he looked more and more unhappy as he spoke, probably due to the hard time he had been having suppressing all of the info as of late. So you're telling me that the round table members are not powerful enough to handle the situation, spoke Integra as she looked at the men sitting around the table. You're overstepping yourself, Integra. Your father would have never been so irresponsibly brash, spoke the man as he looked at her like she was a serious thorn in his side. My father was my father, spoke Integra as she looked at them with cold eyes. With Sarah's, Naruto, and Rose. So you won't drink blood either, spoke Rose as she looked at Sarah's with newfound respect as she scooted closer to Naruto's side. Sarah's got a tick mark on her head and scooted in closer to the other side of Naruto. Yay, I just can't bring myself to do it. I feel like I will lose myself if I drink the blood, spoke Sarah's as she leaned against Naruto's shoulder, causing a tick mark to appear on Rose's head. I know how you feel. Master, how was it you were able to drink blood with such ease and uncaring, spoke Rose as she placed her head on Naruto's shoulder and sighed happily. She locked eyes with Sarah's and they began shooting each other death glares. I lost all of my memories and I was found by Sarah's and Alucard with a giant hole in my chest. They turned me into a vampire to save my life, so when I woke up and didn't have any memories of my past self, I was basically born a vampire, since the only memories I have are being a vampire. Drinking blood is just natural for me, I guess, because of the nature in which I became a vampire, spoke Naruto as he grinned from ear to ear at the scene that was playing out before him. Maybe if he was luck, something very hot would happen that was a part of every man's fantasy. As Naruto began to woo the two girls on his shoulders, something happened that really pissed him off. BB boom mmmmmm, went a loud sound as the entire manor shook from the force of the impact. Sarah's and Rose were on their feet instantly trying to figure out what happened, but Naruto was just thinking about the wasted opportunity and how he was going to mutilate whoever ruined this moment for him. What was that? Asked Sarah's as she looked back at Naruto, who looked oddly angry. I don't know, but whatever it was or whoever it was is going to die. Sarah's, you go find Walter and help him with whatever it is he needs. Rose, I want you to go and protect Sir Integra, and I will find the old Cyclops and see if he needs my help, spoke Naruto as he grabbed Rebellion and hauled as to find out whoever caused this. I love a man that can take charge, spoke Rose as she ran off to follow her master's orders. Yay, my fledgling really is something amazing, spoke Sarah's as she emphasized the word my and glanced over at Rose. He looked unhappy about the way she said it. With the Cyclops? What's going on? Give me a status report, spoke the Cyclops as he spoke into his microphone. He then in contact from Integra as she wanted to know what was going on. What's going on? Asked Integra over the intercom. We are being attacked. It seems to be an unknown number of ghouls, all fully armed. They are disorganized, so we are having difficulties predicting their movements. They have already broken into the compound at several key points, spoke the Cyclops as he spoke to Integra using his walkie-talkie. It's a disaster, spoke Integra as she looked anything but pleased. Integra, spoke one of the knights of the Round Table. Good lord, they are attacking the Helsing house, I can't believe it, spoke Integra as she looked down. With the old man, all outside units report to the third floor. We must protect it at all costs, spoke the old man, but then the sound of munching could be heard, so he turned around and saw two ghouls feasting on one of the dead soldiers. Good lord, they have already made it this far, spoke the old man as he went for his pistol, but then another voice entered the room. You know, I thought the Helsing Manor would be much more difficult to destroy than this, but what can you expect from humans, spoke a man with long black hair, gold eyes, and pale skin. He was carrying a large shotgun, which was made in America, in one hand and was scratching the side of his face with the other. He saw the motion towards the man's handgun and decided to stop him right there. Before he could shoot the old man with his shotgun, though, the tip of a large broadsword pierced his heart, courtesy of Naruto and his bad mood when Naruto basically stabbed him with Rebellion. What the fuck, spoke the man as he looked behind him and saw the pissed off look in Naruto's eyes.
You ruined possibly my only chance for a threesome, so for that you can get raped by demons in hell, spoke Naruto, and he ripped his sword out of the vampire's heart, thus turning him into dust. I know this is different from the Helsing anime and OVA, but trust me, later down the line you will see why I did this. Naruto looked over at the old man. For those who are still wondering who the old man is, it is Ferguson.
You look like shit, spoke Naruto as he looked at the beaten up look the old man had on his face. Ha, well, I guess I have looked better. You need to hurry and get to the 3rd floor. The vampire said that there was 5 of them while he was talking, so there must still be 4 more, spoke the old man as he found a chair and sat down. One went down towards Alucard's room, so he is as good as dead, and Sarah's and Rose are with Walter, so they should be plenty enough to take care of the trash that is infecting this manor. I will go check on Sir Integra and make she is alright, spoke Naruto as he left the room. That is a solid plan. I will coordinate our actions from here, spoke the old man as he got on the microphone and started giving orders and watching the monitors in the room to help the humans. With Naruto. When Naruto arrived at the scene, he saw that all of the ghouls and vampires had already been killed by Sarah's, Rose, Walter, and Integra, but Sarah's seemed to be stuck in her bloodlust and started attacking everyone. Mr. Naruto, please help us, spoke Walter as he restrained Sarah's with his wires. I can't help you. She is my master, so it is impossible for me to go against her will even if I wanted to, but I think I have an idea, spoke Naruto as he walked right up to the front of Sarah's as she tried to force her way out of Walter's wires. When she saw Naruto, she went to roar at him, but stopped instantly when Naruto kissed her. She left her rage instantly and went beet red and passed out. Well, I guess that always works, spoke Walter as he released Sarah's from his wires and looked over at his apprentice Rose and saw that she had an extremely jealous look on her face. He raised an eyebrow at that but figured she probably had some kind of feeling for Naruto, but that it was best to keep his opinions to himself. Naruto reached down and picked Sarah's up off of the floor and carried her princess style back down to her room, where he put her in her coffin so that she could get a good night's sleep. Before he left, he told her his goodbyes. Sleep well, my precious master, spoke Naruto right before he left the room.
The next day, Sarah's, Walter, Rose, Integra, and some of the men that had survived went to a funeral for the men that had died in the line of duty. Naruto didn't feel like going and decided to continue his ventures in learning black magic and everything else those books had to offer. Alucard didn't go because he didn't see the point in it, as he had no sympathy for the dead and felt funerals were a human thing, so he was not interested. The next day in Integra's temporary office. Let us now consider the personnel that we still have available. Of the 192 personnel staffing the London head office, we have 57 soldiers that have survived. Of those, 24 are wounded, spoke Walter as he looked at Integra as she went through her paperwork.
Why are Alucard, Sarah's, Naruto, and Rose not included in this report? Asked Integra as she placed the papers on her desk. Well, I imagine listing them among the dead would be redundant, spoke Walter, but there was a funny grin on his face as he said it. And what of Fergus's condition? Asked Integra as she looked at Walter. His lower jaw is broken, and should take 3 weeks to heal, but he will be fit for duty in 2 days' time, spoke Walter as he looked down at Integra.
The next day in downtown London, Sarah's and Naruto were chasing down a rogue vampire that was running across the rooftops and quickly shot him down. When it hit the ground, it tried to attack a homeless man, but Sarah's quickly killed it, turning it to dust. Target is down, spoke Naruto into his headpiece as he used his vampiric powers on the homeless human through eye contact to make him forget what he saw. Leave cleanup to the district station and proceed immediately over to High Park. It seems like the host is on the move. We will rendezvous with you there, spoke the man on the speaker phone. In Integra's office, as Integra was going through her lists, she noticed a white letter with the words, "Not bomb," on one of them and a wax seal with the Vatican Special 13 seal on it. She instantly read it and was so angry she stabbed the wax seal with her letter opener. The next day at the National Gallery, Integra was looking at a painting of 2 armies lined up ready to attack and kill one another when a man with long silver hair, glasses, and a thin build showed up, accompanied by another man with short white hair and a cross around his neck. "Pardon me, so sorry to keep you waiting," spoke the thin man as he stuck out his hand and waited for Integra to take it. When she didn't, he was obviously angry but schooled his features and tried to hand her some yellow flowers, although he was acting like it was a joke. They continued after that to argue back and forth until finally Maxwell was tired of the fake civility and began to insult Integra. When that happened, Alucard phased into the room and started talking about how all Romans wanted was to reign over the world of man, to write its laws, to help those who were of faith, and be merciless to those who didn't obey. After that he went to shoot Maxwell, but then they found out the paladin Alexander was in town and he was going to try to kill their soldiers, so they quickly went to try to help their people. With the humans, Ceres, and Naruto. When Naruto and Ceres entered the train that they had followed their target into, they saw that all of the ghouls he had with him were impaled by bayonets with pages out of a Bible stuck to their bodies. "It can't be," spoke Ceres as she started to tremble and look around nervously. Naruto quickly pulled out ebony and ivory, and got ready for a fight to remember. Anderson made himself known by speaking a verse from the Bible as he began pulling bayonets out of places Naruto really didn't want to know about and then threw on at him and his master. Naruto quickly shot 2 rounds out of ebony, and completely destroyed the 2 bayonets, which seemed to piss Anderson off something fierce. "Looks like you haven't forgotten me after all. I see you like special hellos, so how about mine?" spoke Naruto as he leveled ebony and ivory, and pointed the both at Anderson and started unleashing bullets at him like it was raining. Anderson was able to dodge many of them, but a few go through ripping wide holes in his body, but he was able to regenerate fairly quickly, and when Naruto reloaded very quickly, Anderson felt the need to speak. "About time you showed up, vampire," spoke Anderson as he rushed towards Naruto as blinding speeds. "How about a fight to the death, Judas Priest?" spoke Naruto as he dodged the swings and stabs Anderson sent his way as he tried to kill him with his blessed bayonets. Naruto pointed ivory at him and started unloading shells, but all the holes he made using it just filled themselves back in because of the man's regeneration blessings. Anderson seemed to flee with fear and Naruto quickly took chase, but when he entered another compartment a book was thrown at him, so he shot it with ivory, but when he did that, pages started to come out of the book and quickly restrained Naruto. When that happened, Anderson quickly ran at him and cut him and the train in half. "Naruto!" shouted Ceres as she ran up to him and picked up his head. She was crying hysterically and looked ready to faint, but then Anderson towered over her and tried to cut her head off as well, but she dodged it and ran down the train tunnels. Anderson quickly made chase, and when he finally caught up with her, started talking trash.
"Is that all the Helsing organization had to offer? A pity I couldn't play with him more," spoke Anderson. But the head in Ceres's lap started laughing, and then all of the blood transformed into bats and quickly started to form together to form Naruto, who was completely fine. "You dirty monster," shouted Anderson as he gritted his teeth and stared down Naruto. "Then what does that make you?" asked Naruto as he pointed ebony at Anderson and shot a single bullet that took off his right arm. "A man?" asked Naruto as he shot ebony again and blasted off his other arm. "Or a monster?" asked Naruto as he shot another bullet intended for Anderson's head, but he dodged it and ran at him like a madman. Naruto was surprised when he picked up one of his bayonets with his teeth and ran at Naruto like he was hoping he could pierce his heart with it. "You're fun," spoke Naruto as he aimed ebony at the bayonet in Anderson's mouth and shot a bullet which destroyed the bayonet. When Anderson stopped, he and Naruto were face to face. "Shut up, you cheap black magician of Helsing," spoke Anderson as he looked hatefully into Naruto's eyes. "Run back to the Rome, you Vatican whipping boy, or what are you going to chew me to death?" asked Naruto as he grinned down at Anderson with a smirk on his face. "You haven't seen that last of me, vampire," spoke Anderson as pages started to swirl around him before he disappeared. "Naruto, are you really all right?" asked Ceres as she rushed into Naruto's arms and buried her face in his chest. "Of course, that man could never kill me, as I have far too much to live for," spoke Naruto as he lifted Ceres's chin and looked deeply into her faded red eyes. This made her smile, but then she looked at him questionably when he picked up both of Anderson's arms. "What are you doing, Naruto?" asked Ceres as she watched Naruto bite into one of Anderson's arms and drink the blood, which surprised her. Anderson does have nanobots in his blood, but to get the type of regeneration he has, he would need to have been a natural regenerator in the first place. "You should drink some of the blood as it will greatly increase your own regeneration powers," spoke Naruto as he handed Ceres one of the arms. She looked like she wanted to say no, but then took a bite out of the arm and drank some of the blood. She wanted to be useful to Naruto and Helsing, and her hunger was getting the better of her, so she decided to drink the blood to hold her over so she wouldn't try to drink a living person's blood. His blood tasted better than I thought it would. "Okay Ceres, let's go get the men and head back to HQ, spoke Naruto as he and Ceres started walking towards the other human soldiers. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.